clients come from that consistent, repeatable action, from those conversations, from invitations, and from actually showing up every day. If you're showing up in your business, you're learning, you're posting, you're doing all the things, but clients still aren't signing, this episode is for you. Because the issue probably isn't what you think it is. What I'm seeing right now, especially after my recent bootcamp, is that a lot of people get it. You understand what an integrator is, how you want to show up, and even how you could support your clients. But there's a gap between understanding and actually signing clients. And that gap comes down to one thing: action. Not more strategies, not more learning, action. But not just any action, the right kind of action is important. And you might be in this place if you feel like you're doing a lot, but nothing is actually turning into clients. You keep thinking, maybe I just need a little more clarity. Or maybe you've invested in learning, but you're not seeing a return yet. Or you're starting to question if this is even going to work for you. I want you to know that this is a completely normal place to be, but it's also a point where I see a lot of people either move forward or they stay stuck, or sometimes this is a place where people tend to quit. Now, I do want to share a little bit of my story, because if you're in this place right now, I definitely was there too. I also share my full story from corporate to where I am now in episode 4. We will link that in the show notes. So when I first started my business, I started as a virtual assistant and I was doing everything, you guys. I actually had a portfolio where I listed out all of my services, and it literally said something along the lines of services based upon your needs. So essentially, I was advertising that I could do anything, which this did lead me down a path where I was overwhelmed by all of the information out there. I was doing things that felt productive, but weren't actually moving the needle in my business. And I wasn't sure of who I should even be helping or how to niche down. And let me tell you, I am very multi-passionate. So the idea of picking one thing felt almost impossible. So instead, I took whatever I could get, which then led me to working with clients that weren't aligned, charging lower rates, and even getting ghosted at times. And yes, my business was bringing in an income, but it felt like I was constantly running around, reacting, and trying to keep up. And when I started my business, it really was for that freedom of time. But it didn't feel like that at all. I had flexibility on paper, but I didn't have structure, boundaries, or direction. And I remember thinking, when am I going to get out of this growth phase and actually feel like things are working? And what I realized later was that my growth didn't come from learning more. I already had the skills. It didn't come from consuming more content or trying to figure out one more strategy. Instead, it came from shifting how I showed up. I stopped trying to be the person who could do everything and anything. I stopped positioning myself as just support, and I really started stepping into that leadership role behind the scenes. And that's the shift that really changed everything for my business. And not just in how I worked with clients, but how I showed up every single day. And it really changed how I was having conversations with people, the way I was inviting people to work with me, and the consistency of my actions. That's what created the momentum in my business. And that is also why I am so passionate about this, because you don't really need a lot of information. Trust me, I know you guys know how much information is out there, And I also know that you guys are already capable of doing this. And we are just going to identify that gap between what you know and how you're actually showing up day to day. So I have 3 shifts to share with you in this episode. So shift number 1 is that clients come from conversations. Now, one of the biggest misconceptions with this is I see people thinking, I just need to post more. And while visibility does matter, the fastest way to land clients is not social media. It's real conversations. And especially in-person conversations. Those are even more powerful. Now, your first clients are likely not coming from a perfectly curated content strategy. And instead, they're going to come from people you talk to, relationships that you build, and rooms you put yourself in. So instead of asking, what should I post today? I want you to start asking, who am I going to talk to today? Now, shift number 2. You may be having conversations, but you have to start inviting people in. This is the second thing I see, is people showing up, but never actually inviting someone to work with them. You could be nurturing, you could be providing value, but you're not leading the conversation. And you can't sign clients if you never invite them. Now, this could be as simple as asking someone if they want to explore working together, offering to hop on a call, or following up with someone that you've already talked to. Now, I see a lot of people get stuck here because this can feel really uncomfortable, but this is the work, you guys. Now, shift number 3 is consistency is what creates clients. So this is the last piece of the puzzle of this gap, is that consistency. Showing up for 3 days and then disappearing for a week is going to break your momentum. Or waiting until you feel motivated to do something. Now, clients, they come from that consistent, repeatable action. You are essentially planting those seeds and the roots are slowly forming. Now, it may feel like nothing is happening, and that's where we need to develop that self-trust that we are doing the right actions, and eventually those seeds will sprout and we will see what happens. We will land that client and all of our work, that momentum that we build will pay off. So again, clients come from that consistent, repeatable action, from those conversations, from invitations, and from actually showing up every day. Now, I say every day, but you do not have to show up every single day. So just want to be clear on that. This isn't a grind, hustle type of advice here. This is just showing up could mean just staying in that self-trust. So on the weekend when you're with your kids, just trusting that what you did during the week or what's going to be coming up, that is all building that momentum. Now, here's what I see most people do instead, and it's that they start to consume more content. They tweak their niche again, or they rewrite their offer. Wait until everything feels ready. And it may feel like you're making progress, but this is actually keeping you stuck. Because none of this replaces the conversations, the invitations, and the consistent action. So this is what keeps us stuck. We're constantly stuck in a cycle of consuming, or we're changing our offer or waiting until we feel ready. And feeling ready is not a feeling, it's a decision. So this is exactly why I am hosting a free training in April, because what I don't want for you is to stay stuck in this cycle of learning, of overthinking, and not seeing results. So in this training, I'm going to break down why you're not signing clients yet. So we're going to go deeper into what we talked about today and the specific action gap. So we're going to go even deeper into the type of action that you'll need to be taking. And then again, those exact daily actions that lead to these clients. So if you're ready to stop spinning your wheels and actually start signing those aligned high-paying clients, you can join the free training through the link in the show notes. Now, again, you guys don't need more information. You just need a way to execute. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do this inside the training. So thank you again for another great episode of the Quiet Leaders Podcast. I will see you next time.